What's up, everybody? I'm Outlaw Morgan. Welcome to my channel, OM Fishing, where I'm pretty much dedicated to fishing on this channel, mostly largemouth bass. And if you're not into that, you're not going to like this video. So no hard feelings. But if you're into it, man, hang out a second. Let's talk about some rods, reels, rigs, setups, baits, what's working, what's not working. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, select all for notifications, and turn that bell on. But yeah, down here in South Florida, we're hitting that time of year where the temps are crazy, man. One day it's like 86 degrees, one day it's 68 degrees, one day you wake up and go fishing, it's 49 degrees in the morning. And for me personally, I like throwing big baits. I like fishing fast, which is really fishing slow because you can't really burn big baits like this. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. A lot of people love to flip, pitch, punch. That's their thing. I'll do it, but it's not what I want to do, if that makes any sense. I'd much rather throw something like this 8-inch shad from 13 Fishing, collaboration with Texas Coalition. And then I picked up a smaller version of that. It's a 5.25. I love these baits. I love the action on these baits. I picked up the smaller one simply because I was somewhere and it was there for like 12 bucks. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And it was coming in a package of 2. But anyway, these baits right here, you know, this one, I'll be honest, I've thrown a lot and it hasn't even been bit. There's no bite marks on it whatsoever. One day. And like I said, I just picked this one up, and yes, there is a drop shot weight hanging on the bottom of that. It was MacGyver season, buddy. You know, like I didn't have any weighted 6/0 swim bait hooks, so I had to make do, and I put a drop shot on the shaft of this hook here. It works, but my point is this. Right now, that's not working for me. I mean, the moving baits with the colder water temperatures, the bass are being a little more lethargic. They're kind of like not as aggressive. I've been getting a lot of bites where it's like they just kind of grab the tail and now they want to swim with it for a minute before they decide they actually want to crush it. And it's like you're trying to get that thump reaction bite. So I'm having to throw more of this. This is a Gambler Crawdaddy, Mega Daddy Crawl, whatever they call this thing here. It's kind of like a watermelon seed red color. And it's got a big old bullet weight on it. It's pretty heavy with a little bead bobber stopper. This is a 5/0 hook, and I throw this mainly because now you have to slow roll the bottom as the water temperatures drop, and you basically just want to get some popping action off the bottom and see if you can get that reaction bite where it's pretty much a commitment bite right off rip. I'm sure some of you guys caught the fact that I have this bead on here and you're wondering what the bead's about. Two-part. A, it's a splash of color. It's got like some chartreuse in it. We know that bass are attracted to chartreuse. And the second part is with this weight and the bobber stopper, this thing can go back and forth. And when it does, this will literally act somewhat like a rattle. It will click against the weight and make a little rattle sound. And maybe that will trigger a reaction bite from some fish that are actually paying attention. Because let's be honest, man, when you're down there bouncing this around and you're like, there's no fish in here, chances are there's 2 or 3 sitting around your bait, just staring at it, not liking your presentation. So anything extra can help. At least that's my theory. You probably even noticed on this bait here when I was showing this off that there is also the bead on this one as well. And it doesn't have a weight. So for this, it's literally just so that there's some motion there. Kind of looks like the fish is kind of chasing something or is after something. And that also can create a reaction bite. A lot of times these bass will see another bass moving in on something. They're like, and it's gang mentality. So they're like, me first, you know, and like they move in and one will hit the bait and then one hits that fish and they fight. It's weird, but this one actually did get bit and I just bought it. And I'm thinking that I probably do have a better chance of getting bit by this 5.25 than I do by this 8, which by the way, this thing has like a 12-watt owner beast hook in it. That is massive. I mean, you can literally see that the weight is right there and then the hook is coming out of the back of the spine here, which is great on this one. But however, this guy here, just a heads up, if you want to go buy this lure, this bait, get super glue, because the silicone or the plastic that's where the hook sits under here is so thin that it doesn't take much for it to rip, tear, and then your hook's going to constantly pull through the body of this Banff 5.25 from Texas Coalition 13 Fishing. And once you glue it back though, you're good to go. But it's going to happen again and again and again. So just be aware of that. Like I said, this thing did get bit, but it only got bit once, and it got bit right at the boat. I watched it come up, I watched it attack it, and it missed the hook. It grabbed the back of the body. And I think it was like a little 2-pounder or something to that effect. And I just kind of like let it go. I shook it off. But my point is with this video is that I usually throw the Gantrel Junior, bigger hard body swim baits, bigger soft body swim baits, and I had to slow myself down, and I started pitching this, which I was telling you about earlier, which is the GoDaddy Mega Daddy from Gambler. And you know, I'm not trying to punch through mats. That's why you don't see like a 2-ounce tungsten weight or an ounce and a half, anything like that. This is probably just under an ounce right here, but I'm just basically using this to help me get down into the holes between the hydrilla, or to get it to like do a faster fall by the edge of the matting or whatever. And if there are obviously some holes within mats or whatever, I can pitch right up into it and it'll drop down, whatever the case is. So the most effective bait that I had been using on the last 2 fishing trips is this and the worm. Still throwing the old burner worm here. This is a watermelon seed red color. As you can see again, I think this one has a bead here. I just tend to do it with every rig. Whenever I'm rigging up, bobber stopper, weight, bead, hook, and whatever bait you want to tie on. But this is a big worm. This is like, this is not a Zoom. I normally buy Zoom. This is, I think, Bang Lures is what it's called, Bass Assassin. And it's a nice burner worm. I like this color better than Zoom's color because their color is a little darker. And this is a little lighter. It's got more of a chartreuse glow going through it. And it's got a lot of red and pepper flake in it. And you just can't beat a burner worm because of the action. Now, you can throw a Gary Yamamoto Cinco if that's what you want to throw. I just tend to prefer baits that actually have action. I'm not saying that the Yamamoto doesn't have action. I'm just saying it doesn't have the same action of this bait because of the burner style tail. And let's not forget, one of the cool things about this design on the tail is that you don't have to just bounce it around the bottom. You don't just have to dead stick it. You don't have to just pull it through the muck and like pop it around. You can also swim this worm because of the tail. And it's going to have a crazy erratic pattern that can also trigger a reaction bite. So you can use this in various ways, not just the typical style stick worm. So let's talk about how I combo this thing out, right, to throw the big worm. Because obviously a smaller worm, you might catch a big fish. If you're playing laws of averages, you might. But chances are you're gonna catch a lot of 2-pounders, that kind of thing. Now you'll still get 2-pounders on a bigger worm, but because of the size of this thing, you actually have a greater chance of, say, maybe a 6, 7, 8-pounder even, eyeballing this and taking a jab at it. So this is actually a 7.3 rod. This is a Carbon Fire from Lew's. This is a 7.51 reel, and I believe it's probably only 15-pound drag. But this doesn't look like your typical heavy rod, but it is. And you can pretty much lock down on 50-pound braid, I think is what I've got this comboed with. And my whole technique, I'll be honest, is the minute I set the hook, get them out. Because if you're pitching in driller holes and they're down under the cover, they're going to come out, they're going to bang it, and they're going to try to go right back under. So when you pull up, chances are you're pulling that fish up into the driller mat. So the quicker you can set hook, get them out of there, the better. I believe that this rod is actually paired with 50-pound or 65. I think this has 65-pound braid on it, P-line braid. Really good string. And I get that it sounds like overkill, but when you're fishing down here in South Florida and you have these heavy mats, all this cover, tons of vegetation under the water, unless the FWC's killed off all the grass by spraying chemicals out of a helicopter, then you're going to need it. You're going to need something that's going to help you get that fish out of the water, especially if it's wrapping you up in vegetation or whatever the case may be. Fluorocarbon, as much as I love it, and yes, I understand that the fish don't really see the line, and that's the great part of it. Chances are they'll wrap you up and snap you off on fluorocarbon, so I tend not to use it unless I'm using it as leader. And honestly, I'm not even comfortable about that. I'm not comfortable with anything that has a knot or a place that can create friction, and break. So I tend to go with heavy line, heavy setups if I'm throwing something I think can attract larger fish. Now for the Banff 5.2 swim bait shad here, soft body swim bait shad, I'm using a Mach Pro from Lew's. This is a 7.2 medium heavy rod. This has 50-pound braid on it, probably 13-pound drag on a 7.5 reel. I don't have to worry too much about something coming out that's already come out from cover and smacked it and crushed it, and I'm setting the hook, and now I just got to crank it to the boat, you know. So the only thing that you really have to worry about on this kind of setup is maybe the string snapping. And hopefully using 50-pound braid, that would not be a problem. And 13-pound drag on this moving bait is perfectly fine. Obviously, if I'm throwing the larger 8-inch Vamp shad, I would probably go with my super heavy stick and 85-pound braid. Just because anything that's going to smash that thing is going to be fully committed and possibly 8 pounds and up, I would imagine. And like I said, I haven't been bit on that one yet. I've been working on different retrieves, trying different things. It's going to happen. Listen, I have ADD, so when I'm on the boat and I'm throwing a big bait and I'm like, man, I can't get it to work, I throw my gantrel till my arm starts to get a little sore. And then I'm just like, you know what, man, I'm going to downsize. Now, I've got a buddy, he'll downsize like it ain't no problem. I mean, this guy the other day, he dropped down to a Kitech swim bait, and it was 2.8 inches, right? So just under 3 inches. And I was like, man, I can't bring myself to throw something that small. I'm stubborn, you know, so like he's on the back of the boat and he's constantly catching fish. He's using the little Kitech 2.8, and he was throwing a Z-Man worm that he throws. It looks kind of like a trick worm, but it's, you know, natural buoyancy. So it's like it floats, and he uses like a little two-aught kind of hook or something. It's not even, I don't even think it's a aught. It's a 2 or 3 hook, something, it's small. And he catches a lot of fish that are under a pound. And I'm just, you know, as much as it irritates me, because let's be honest, as fishermen, we are 100% competitive, and I don't give a damn if you're on the front of the boat or if you're on the back of the boat. If you have to sit there and watch your buddy constantly hook up fish, it messes with your pride, man. It messes with your ego a bit. It makes you think you don't know what you're doing. But in all honesty, it's just because I'm stubborn. You know what I mean? Like I'm throwing a 5.25, and that's as small as I'm willing to go. And he's throwing a 2.8, and he's pulling up things you can barely put your thumb in. So it's really all in what you want to do. I've told him, I think that what he and I should do is have a day where we only take 2 rods on the boat, and we throw nothing but big baits the entire day. And I know his day would change, right? Because he gets bit because he throws smaller baits. So that's fine, man. You know, like some people, they go out there and they just have fun hooking up. Like I tend to think a little differently in a much more competitive spirit. So, you know, I'm over here throwing this big old gantrel. I've got an iGlide from Mega Bass I'll tie on. I've got the 8-inch shad. I mean, dude, I try these things because I haven't broke double digits yet, and I'm friends with people on Instagram that I see break double digits at least, you know, a few times a year. And I'm just like, mother effer, dude. So maybe my time will come, but I just wanted to show you what I was throwing. I tried the moving baits the last couple times I've been out. Slow bites on that, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, okay, panic mode. I got to hook up on something, so I downsize. And moving baits really haven't been the jam. I've gotten a couple bites, but nothing crazy. And then I switched up to the crawdaddy and of course the worm, and just really slowing it down. And for the guys out there that pitch, that flip, that punch, you're probably listening to me right now. I'm like, why don't you just punch? You know what I mean? Because like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it, man. I'll do it. I've got some tungsten weights. I'll do it, but it's not my ideal form of fishing. And maybe I need to change the way I think and the way that my outlook works. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to, you know, hit the button, bell, and all that stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care.